guys, welcome back to Craig's Kitchen. Beef jerky, okay? Everyone loves beef jerky. Everyone I know loves it, but it's expensive, you know? You can make it yourself. You don't need a fancy steamer. You don't need a fancy food dehydrator. Now, if you have those things, great. You're all set. You probably already know how to do it. But a lot of us don't have those appliances, so we can't use them. So therefore, we have to use what we've got. And what I've got is an oven, just a plain old kitchen oven, all right? So you can do it. It's very simple. Now, there's three parts to this, okay? There's three segments to doing this. The first one is the marinade, okay? You want to add flavor to the beef, all right? The second one is slicing the beef or preparing it properly so it will dehydrate the way it's supposed to. And of course, the third part is putting it in the oven and drying it out, making the beef jerky. Now, this is raw beef that we're using, but it does cook and it does dry out. And the reason why it doesn't go rotten after you take it out, preserves for a long time, is because when you make beef jerky, you're removing all the water from the meat. So there's no way that any bacteria can harbor in there. It's completely sort of sanitary, I guess, if you will. So that's what we love about it, and it's great. So let's do the first part of it. We'll talk about the marinade. Making beef jerky, the whole secret of it is drying out the meat. The marinade is strictly for flavor. This is not carved in stone the way you do this, all right? I'm going to show you the way I do it, and you can make up your own recipe based on what I'm going to do here, okay? So let's see what we've got. We've got ourselves a bowl, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff that we like the flavors of. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab some Worcestershire sauce, and I guess we could measure this. I like putting in about half a cup of Worcestershire. Worcestershire? Oh, that's the bottle right there. That's all I've got. So there we have it. So that's just under half a cup there. These measurements are not exact, okay? We've got some soy sauce, okay? Let's put about half a cup of soy sauce, maybe quarter of a cup. I don't want it too salty. This is what you're doing here, a little more. What you're doing here is you're making a marinade that you like the taste of. Because if you like the taste of it, then you're going to like it on your beef jerky, okay? So I'm not going to measure anything here. I'm just going to go for it here. We've got some hot sauce. You can use any kind of hot sauce you want. I like a little bit of spice in my beef jerky. So I'm going to throw in actually quite a bit of this. Now you can adjust this at the end. You've got some cayenne pepper. Sure, why not? Well, maybe a teaspoon of that. All right. We have a little bit of chili powder. Sorry, not chili powder, garlic powder here. You could put chili powder. I'm not sure how that would work, but we'll just put a little bit of garlic powder in there. Half a teaspoon or so, or a teaspoon. We've got some onion powder. You see what I'm doing? I'm just concocting. It's all I'm doing. There's no measuring here. If you want to write down exactly what you do, then you can, and then that way you can repeat the recipe. We've got some salt. Now I'm going to stir this. We're not done yet, but we're just going to see what we've got here. The other thing I like to do is add some brown sugar. Okay. And I think my brown sugar is gone. Yeah, it's gone hard. So let me scrape some out of here. Of course, if you have fresh brown sugar, that would be much more convenient for you. All right, let's give that a stir. And anything else that you think you might like to put in this. It really is up to you. These are just the basic things. You could even just go out and buy your favorite beef marinade, right? And you could just do that too. You could also put barbecue sauce in here. A lot of people call for liquid smoke. I can't find it around my area, and I've heard that it's not very good for you. So what I have done is I went and I got something else. This is a jerk marinade. Well, what could be better for beef jerky than a jerk marinade? So I picked this up, and it smells pretty good to me. It's quite spicy. So I've decided to put a whole lot of that in there to dominate the flavor with this, because I really like the smell of that. So as you can see, this is kind of like a chemistry Frankenstein experiment, that you can do, and you just make what you think tastes good. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a taste of this, all right, and see what we've got. Wow. That's really good. That is good. It's quite spicy. I'm going to add a little more sugar to this. This is what I was telling you earlier. You can adjust this at the end. All right. If you really want a little treat when you do this, go get yourself some teriyaki sauce. Right? That's good in here as well. Let's take another sample here and see if that's good. I like that. That tastes very good to me. Now, if it tastes too strong, in other words, if you think it's going to be too bold, you can add a little bit of water to it, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to set that aside for just a moment, and let's deal with the meat. Okay. Right. Now, I don't think it really matters what type of beef you use, but the thing is that what we want to do is we want to slice it very thin, like this. Okay, we're talking about 1/8 of an inch, right? Because this is what's going to allow it to dry out. Now, there's different ways of cutting it. If you wanted to, you could, do it on an angle. That piece I'm not going to use because it's thicker on one side there. But once you get that going, you could certainly go ahead and do it on an angle. That way you get a little thicker slices. These are very small pieces, of course, and you could do them bigger than that, and depending on what cut of meat you've got, I just got what I could get my hands on here. If you got a thicker piece, or whatever, you can even do buy the fast fry things and use them. Although I think they're probably a little thick. I'm going to cut this piece of fat out. The reason why you cut the fat is because the fat can go rancid. It doesn't preserve. It doesn't dry out as well. So you really want to do that. I'm going to continue to get this cut up, and we'll come back when we're all set for the next step. Okay. All right. So there we go. As you can see, my beef jerky slices are a little smaller than I'd like them. I've got some longer pieces here. But you can choose the cut of meat, but you don't want them too small. My wish list for this particular beef jerky session would be to have slightly wider slices. But as you can see, I sort of cut them against the grain so that when you go to eat them, they're going to come apart a little easier when you bite them. So now, basically all you do is you put them in your marinade. Okay? Make sure that marinade is the way you like it, and don't hesitate to play with it and adjust that until it's exactly the way you like. I actually took some of the smaller pieces out of here and I put them on a plate, and I'll use them in a stir fry or something like that with some onions and have myself a little snack. Okay, so let's get ourselves a spoon. Let's make sure all these things, you don't need any fancy containers or things like that. Just make sure they're all covered. Now we're also going to put some pepper in this, some fresh ground black pepper, but I'm not going to do that until we're putting them on the trays, all right? And you'll see why. So look, that is absolutely, as you can see, it looks awesome. This has to marinate for at least 6 hours, but I'm going to let it marinate overnight, because what you're looking at here is anywhere between 6 and 8 hours in the oven. So this is a time-consuming project. So you might want to split it into 2 nights or days, and the more you let this marinate, the more flavors will absorb into them. So just cover this up with some foil, and we're going to put this in the fridge. There you go. Let that marinate. I'm going to let it marinate for 24 hours. So, you know, through the magic of video, we'll be back. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Hey guys, well, we're back. It's the next day, and this has been marinating for, well, about 18 hours. Oh, it smells, okay, it smells great. Now what I did was I took a couple of strips of it and I put it on a plate and I stuck it in the microwave and cooked it for 30 seconds, tried it, and I'm very excited about this beef jerky. It's gonna taste it does taste absolutely amazing. It's hard for me not to go ahead and just eat the whole bowl the way it is. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do, as you can see, got a little paper towel station here, and I'm going to take them, and we need to dry them off. Okay, so we're gonna just take them and we're gonna place them on some, you know, paper towel. This is, you know, pretty straightforward, and I'm gonna do this until, see, we got all different sizes here, and depending, like I said before, depending on the cut of beef that you've got, you might get wider strips than I have here, but anyway. So I'm gonna lay them out on here, and I'm gonna dry them off with this other paper towel. Okay, so I got a full batch here. I'm just gonna put the top on. It's important that you dry them because, well, this is what we're trying to do, is dry the meat. So the more moisture you can get out of it now, the better off you are later. So that's what we're doing here. Now, there you go. That's the best I can do. Now let's move this out of the way for just a moment and talk about what we're going to dry it on. First thing you're going to do is you're going to set your oven for 170 Fahrenheit. Now that's what my oven goes down to. It's the lowest my oven will go. Some people's oven goes down to 150 Fahrenheit, and if that's the case, fine, that's no problem. Anywhere between 150 and 170 is perfect. What I've got here is a couple of little contraptions here. It's a simple baking dish, put some tin foil on it, and I went to the dollar store and I got myself a couple of things like racks or whatever that I can put on here, because you want the meat to be suspended so that it can dry evenly. So there's one. And the other one I have is just, again, it's just a concoction here. You know, same thing, little thing to dry the meat on. So I've got a full complement of meat here. So we're just gonna take those off. Stick them there for now. And we're gonna start loading the meat onto the tray. And there's no secret here. The meat can touch, but you don't want them to overlap. All right, so this is not something that you're gonna wanna watch me do, kind of like watching grass grow. So when we get this done and we get the rest of the meat out and dried and onto our racks, and then we'll get it onto sticking them in the oven. Cool. Last thing we're gonna do, fresh ground pepper. Okay, this is going to give it an absolutely beautiful flavor at the end. Okay, nice little thrift store pepper grinder. There we are. That's it. All right, there you have it. It's in there, and it's going to be probably about another 5 to 6 hours before I even bother to check that. But, you know, keep an eye on it, and I will show you how to tell when they're done. In the meantime, got myself some white wine, and we'll be back. Cheers. All right, listen, it's been about 7 hours, and I've looked in on these things a few times and checked them, and I think at this point, we're done. Let me get them out. Oh yeah. All right, let's have a look at them and see. Well, I can tell they're done just by looking at it. You see when you bend them and they bend in one spot like that, it only bends in one place, but it doesn't break. All right. So that's what you want. These are done. Now I'm going to give this a try, give this a whirl, I should say. Give this a whirl. Cheers. Oh man. Oh my God, it's so good. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna go sit somewhere, watch some YouTube, and have myself a few of my homemade beef jerkies. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.